Hey everyone, Ben here. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you do enjoy today's video, don't forget to hit the subscribe button because we're trying to grow on the platform, and turn on the notification bell to be notified of all uploads and live streams. And if you did like today's video, then don't forget to hit a like down below because it helps other people to find our videos, and don't forget to comment down below on any suggestions for content that you have, or comment about today's content. Let me know what you thought. Let's get into the video. Alright, so for today's Steel Path Viable build, we're looking at Sepulcrum. So Sepulcrum is a secondary pistol that's actually kind of like a little bit of a laser blaster that you access by doing the Entrati, which means you need a Seriglass shard in order to obtain it, kind of like with Trumna and with Quassus, with Cortege. So you need to farm, I think it's 20 or 30, I think it's 20 Grandmother tokens, which is a bit of a pain, but it's fine, I guess. But this is a great weapon. I do recommend picking it up. So like I said, it's like a pistol laser blaster, but like with every Entrati weapon, this weapon also has a really interesting alt fire to it as well. So like weapons like Quassus, for example, it has its alt fire where you fire like war fan pins and you penetrate a lot of enemies. It's actually really powerful. Sepulcrum's kind of the same. Sepulcrum has its alt fire, which does a ridiculous amount of damage. So the way the alt fire on this thing works is you press down the right stick, or at least on console you do, and what that does is it allows you to then start locking onto a few enemies. You click the stick again or press the fire button, and boom, it fires off a volley of these weird rocket things that it has, that you can kind of see the projectile mechanism for underneath the actual aiming reticle. So let's jump into the build now we've explored the weapon a little bit. So, we're running Hornet Strike for 220% damage. Now, I'm running Hornet Strike mainly because I always forget to change the faction mods if I put those on. However, if you do use faction mods, I would recommend it over Hornet Strike because they do more damage. So if you're like me and never remember to change them, put on Hornet Strike because you will not regret it. If you know to change them every single time you go against a different faction, I would recommend putting a faction mod over this damage mod. Galvanized Diffusion for 110% multi-shot, and on kill 30% multi-shot for 20 seconds stacks up to 4 times. This just adds a lot more multi-shot to your weapon, doing a lot more damage. Prime Pistol Gambit for 187% critical chance. Prime Target Cracker for 110% critical damage. Now you can, if you do not own these or do not have these at max rank, you can still run Pistol Gambit and Target Cracker, just the normal variants, over this. You will of course lose some critical multiplier and some critical chance, but it's still high enough to where it's still viable to use. Like if I quickly removed these quickly and just put on Pistol Gambit and Target Cracker, like you have 66% multi-shot, critical chance and 3.5 times multiplier. So you do lose a little bit, but it's still more than viable for you to use those mods. I'm just using my primed versions because I have them. There's no real reason to not do it. You know, if you have the capacity and you have the mods max ranked, you might as well use them. Lethal Torrent for 60% fire rate and 60% multi-shot. Jolt for 60% electricity and 60% status chance. Pistol Pestilence for 60% toxin and 60% status chance. And Heater Charge for 90% heat. Now, I'm not running anything in the extra slot, mainly because I don't want to spend 20 platinum to buy a weapon adapter. I don't have any left right now. But if you were going to use a Exilus mod, I would highly recommend something like Lethal Momentum, which increases projectile speed, or Pistol Ammo Mutation to give yourself more ammo. Excuse me. You could also use something like Steady Hands as well to reduce weapon recoil, because this weapon has a little bit of recoil to it. But any of those would do, but like me, if you don't really want to spend the money on a weapon adapter, then you don't really need to. And of course, I'm running Secondary Merciless in the Arcane slot to, of course, deal damage. Secondary Merciless rank 5 on kill, plus 30% damage for 4 seconds, stacks up to 12 times, and plus 30% reload speed. So this thing increases your damage tenfold. A lot of weapons just aren't viable without these Arcanes, so you are going to want to run them. But let's look at the build quickly. So we're running 86.1% critical chance and a 4.6 times multiplier. We're also running Heat and Corrosive as our main damage types, so both of these are in place to help melt away armor, which is fantastic because with both Heat and Corrosive on, they stack, meaning you're going to remove a hell of a lot of armor. Not to mention, with Heat on the weapon as well, you will probably end up proccing some overtime damage on enemies that are harder to take out. So let's say heavily armored units, you can proc it so that they can then start taking a little bit of damage over time, and you can keep building it with Sepulcrum's pistol damage. Now, as I mentioned as well, this weapon has a alt fire, and this is the kind of damage it kind of does with it. It's really OP, but you'll see that as we go through. The only real differences between its normal fire and its alt is its alt has higher critical chance, taking it to well over 100%, and a critical multiplier of 6.3 times. So it does a lot more on the critical side as well as normal raw damage as well. It increases that too. But unlike weapons like Optical Vandal or Optical where it adds magnetic as an extra element, the alt fire doesn't add anything to this. But let's jump into the mission and I will show you what this thing can do. So today I'm making a difference. I'm using Caliban instead of using my Atlas. I normally use Atlas for these videos, but I'm going to use Caliban today. So that's why this energy thing is down. I'm just giving myself energy to keep my lethal progeny up. But quickly, I'll explain why I'm here in the Void. So I'm here in the Void because it's one of the latest areas you'll reach naturally in the Steel Path. And whilst these are Steel Path builds, these are what I like to call Steel Path viable builds. So these weapons will carry you through the Steel Path, and you can definitely use them for a few hours on endless missions. But don't expect these builds to take you to level 9,999 enemies, because it's not that's not what they're designed for. They're called viable for a reason. They're viable so that you know you can use them on the Steel Path, but they're not viable for that kind of Steel Path, I guess, if you like going to that kind of high enemies. I personally don't see why anyone does, because there's no reason to do so, but I digress. I'm also here as well because the Void houses many different kinds of enemies with just health and shields, and health and high armor, meaning it gives you a pretty good example of what these weapons could do against pretty much all of the factions, as well as, of course, the Orokin. But let's jump in. So I'm going to quickly summon my progeny to keep my shields up, because I'm definitely going to take some damage here. Hello. Now, of course, like most weapons, it does start off slightly slow. Like, you have to get at least 1 or 2 kills before you'll actually start seeing any kind of major damage with this thing. But as you can see, we are dealing some decent damage. Like, this actually does a lot more than you think it would, because the cool thing with this weapon is it already has a good amount of innate multi-shot, meaning it's already going to do a lot, and when you add more multi-shot to the mix, it's actually pretty powerful. And considering that this is a technically single-shot blaster, think of it as more like a blaster from Star Wars, where, like, it's a single shot, but it does a lot of penetration, so it allows you to hit through the enemy a lot easier. Get my progeny back up. Now, if anyone's wondering what my Caliban build is, the Caliban build is on the channel in the Warframe playlist, along with every other Steel Path Viable build I've ever done. So don't forget to check out that playlist for other weapons. I've done other builds, like a lot of the Kuva weapons and Tenet weapons. I've also done several weapons that are just on their own, stuff like Vector's Prime, and it's been a while since I've actually checked out my Viable build playlist, but... Right, so as you can see as well under my aiming reticle, there is like a glowing line. That glowing line is going to be showing you what my... Ooh, careful, quickly put my progeny back up. That line is going to be the... Oh my god. Is going to be the alt fire, like how much it's charged. So as you can see, it's fully charged. So when I get in front of a couple of enemies, I will quickly pop it so you guys can see what it actually does. But as I explained, the alt fire, at least on console, what you do is you click in right stick to initiate, and then you aim at enemies, and then you fire, and you'll see what it does once, of course, I come across multiple enemies. I'm not going to use it on just one enemy because it makes no sense to do so. It is like a multi-hit thing. There we go, this should be perfect. So you aim at enemies, and then you blast. That's what it does. It fires like what's the word? It's a volley of random rocket things that just basically ruin the enemy's day. Now, I will stay until the Acolyte comes so I can show you what this weapon does to the Acolyte, but if it takes too long, I will quickly do a cut so that you're not sitting around watching me talk and play for 10 minutes whilst I wait for the Acolyte to spawn. So I will cut back when the Acolyte comes in. Alright, the Acolyte's spawning in, which is a little bit unfortunate right now, actually, because I'm trying to deal with the Neximus that's leeching my energy, as well as recharge my overshields, because they went bye-bye. Oh, that's not good. Where is the Acolyte? Hello. So, if I can actually get this guy to stop running at me for a moment, that would be swell. And as you can see, this weapon actually shreds through Acolytes pretty darn fast. When, of course, they're not trying to screw you over. Could you not jump in my face? Ouch. Okay, this is bullcrap. Thank you. Stop jumping in my face. Get out of the way. Thank you. My god. I was getting absolutely ganked by that guy. Right, anyway. So, it deals with it in about 6 or 7 shots, which really isn't that bad. Of course, when you're not being absolutely ram-raided by Eximus, it would be nice. But I will hopefully catch you guys in the next one. If you did enjoy this, let me know down in the comments below. Don't forget to turn the notification bell as well, because I do live stream on YouTube almost every day. So it'd be great to see some of you guys in here, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Hey everyone, thank you for watching today's video. Above is a preview of the previous upload, and if you want to see more content like this, don't forget to subscribe please, because we're trying to grow on the platform. And don't forget to turn on the notification bell to be notified of all uploads and live streams. And if you liked the video, why not leave it a like? It really does help other people to find my videos. And don't forget to comment down below on any content you want to see, or what you thought about this video specifically. Let me know, and I will see you guys in the next one.